Hey YouTube, Sam here. Well, this is my new ride, and actually it's my daughter's. We got tired of the starting issue we were having with the Neon, so I decided I wanted something that I didn't have to worry about her driving somewhere and then going to start it and then it not starting. So anywho, it is a very beautiful car actually. There's hardly any dings or dents in it that I can see, and it seems to run and drive really good. It's the Limited, but anyhow, because I am very cheap, I bought it at a discount because it does have a few problems, so we're going to fix a few of them. Here we are on the 01 Explorer driver's side door, and everything on this electrically seems to work except for right here. When I lock and unlock, I don't know if you can see this, this doesn't go up and down. And I was told by the guy that he took the motor out and took it in and he was going to replace it and just never got to it. I tend to wonder when people just don't get to things, what else is wrong and what's the reason behind it, but you never know. Maybe he just didn't get to it. But because of that, I got quite a few dollars off of this rig. Also, the tailgate doesn't open and close. There's something broken in that. I'm going to do a separate video on that, so keep an eye out for that. There's a few other issues, so I'll kind of show you a few of them, and we'll have a few videos on this 01 Explorer, so keep an eye out for them. First things first, we're going to open the door, and it does lock and unlock with the key, but it's kind of difficult, which makes me think there might be some bent up stuff in there. We'll see. Could just be that the lock cylinder needs a little bit of lubrication. Who knows? So I'm going to open the door and we'll get to it. And when I'm doing door panels, these are my pretty much go-to tools. These are the ones that usually get the job done. If you got an older style car, there's a couple more, but for the newer cars, this pretty much does it all. Phillips screwdriver and several tools to pry and up clips and panels. That's about most everything in there will usually get it done. Every one of these is second-hand tools except for the screwdrivers. I bought those brand new from Sears a long time ago. Anyhow, I'm going to take off this lock pull here. On this rig it would probably not really get in your way, but I'm just going to do it because that's usually how I start. Make sure you put all your pieces and parts where they should be. Keep them safe. Next, we got a couple screws down in here. Just kind of look for the obvious stuff. If there's a screw, unscrew it. If there's something that's going to get in the way, handles and that kind of thing, try and get those off. That goes with just any door. So on this door, there's just a couple of Phillips screws down here, and it looks like this is just kind of a plate down here that should probably pry off of here. So I'm going to set the screws down where I know I'll find them. And start with my little pry tool here. A lot of times there's actually a little spot that's open where you can pry stuff out. Sometimes you just got to kind of make a spot. Try not to pry too hard. If it doesn't want to come, don't force it. There you go. I lift that on this, and this popped right off. Set that to the side, don't lose it. That pretty much gets this door handle out of the way. Next, sometimes underneath these there are screws, but I'm feeling this one probably not. Also, sometimes down in these areas there's screws. This door's, like I said, he took it off already, so there's some clips broken or something. It does look like these should come with the door, but these here, yeah, looks like they'll come with the door too. So I think the next step is I'm going to grab a hold of the bottom down here on the corner and just kind of start pulling, see what happens. And you know, you don't necessarily even need a tool for, especially if they've already been taken off. Okay, this doesn't feel like it wants to come, so I'm going to lead off on that one. A lot of times there's usually a screw up in here somewhere, but on this one there's not. So I'm going to lift up and see if that does anything. Nope. So there's one clip down here. There we go. Pop loose. Okay, that seems to do it. So now I should be able to lift up on the door, and it should, in theory, come up. Feels like there might be something down in here holding it on. The top piece here should come with the door once you got it all loose. And I'm gonna have trouble. There we go. I'm kind of having to go down in here. You might not have to. Usually you can just kind of pull up on things. There we go. And it'll pull loose. Yet again, kind of keep an eye on things. Try and separate things carefully. I'm going to have to do some gluing and fixing on this door because this is all shouldn't be this way like that. But now we got all our electrics down in here. And it actually looks like that actually does supposed to slide out of there actually. So I was incorrect. That does do that. But I'm thinking, well, I guess when you put the screws in, then the screws go through here and that holds that all together. So I was incorrect. That is actually supposed to come out of there. Live and learn. I've never taken one of these like this year apart. I've done, like I said, I had a 92, which I've done, and it's totally different from this one. But then you got your plugs that go up to this little function here, which sets your seat. It's kind of a cool idea. I never had a car that had this before, where you set your seat where you want it, number one, number two driver, and then you got your mirror stuff up here for adjusting your outside mirrors. Those just have those clips that I hate so much that if I did it on video I would break. So I'm going to shut you off, take all these clips off of here, and we will dig into one more tool, flathead screwdriver, just for kind of prying on those clips. Usually for the wiring clips, that is. Usually I have one of these with me anyway, but I didn't have it in my set of tools I showed you. But now we got the door panel off, and somewhere down in there should be where that lock cylinder should go. Now, yet again, this piece of plastic stuff or rubber stuff actually is what kind of feels like. It needs to go back on. Make sure you put it back on. It's protection for your car. There's the part I got from the wrecking yard right there that I believe is either not in this door or doesn't work. But I went ahead and had them hook everything, every latch, every piece and part to it. Go ahead and I just got the whole thing. That way if I break a little clip, or if there's a part of this that's not quite right or is a little bit different on my door, then I can, two things, use the parts off of this obviously for parts that are broken or missing, and second thing, if I know where this is and how that goes in the door, I know exactly where all this should go. It makes it just a little bit easier to figure out kind of where things need to go. Now I did see something that I might have a problem with here, if I could talk. I didn't get the bolts that hook this into the door, however it hooks into the door. So I may have to go back to the wrecking yard or find something that'll work. So we'll see where this thing was supposed to even fit into this door here. So I went ahead, like I said, I got all these parts and pieces here. And that latch goes like that. There's your lock mechanism there. This goes back up over here. You can see all that right there. So this needs to go down here. So then I started looking, and right here is a rivet. And actually on the other end of this rivet is this little piece just sitting in the door here. So I think this will pry off of here. It looks like it just has a couple little bumps. Hopefully you can see that. It looks like it just has a couple little bumps. And this will pry off, hopefully. I'm going to be real careful. And I'll be able to stick this back into that. And I will probably need these parts and pieces. More than likely this is what probably broke, and the guy just thought this wasn't working, but we'll see. And then I got to figure out where the plug-in for that is. So we're going to get in the door here, and start removing and moving. Well, this is one of those, well, there's your problem. This right here was just hanging in the door. This was gone. So somehow he just completely ripped this thing completely out of the door and probably got frustrated and quit on the job because he couldn't figure out what thing went where. And so anyhow, that little metal thing did just pry right off of here. It's just a little plastic housing with a couple of nipples on it here, and it looks like you got different areas where you can have it up and down. But I'm going to go ahead and put it back on the one that this one was on. I'm going to throw this in my scrap bin, and I'm going to try and pop this into the door here. Now I did notice I did have to have it in the unlock position, because in the lock position it wouldn't pop out of the thing, so I had to figure out what my problem was here, because I couldn't get, what I was saying previous is this had to be in the unlock position to be able to clip this in. Well, to unlock it, you can't just pull up on this, you have to actually pull on your doorknob here. So I was a little bit fandangled there for a while. But I got it figured out. We're going to take this and we're going to try and finesse it into there. Now, I guess I could show you here, actually, because I have this lock. Let's see, how does it go? So these, it's like this in the door here. This goes right there. Now, on right here is where, actually, this goes over to your lock cylinder, where your key actually unlocks the door. Right in front of that is, we're not going to worry about this piece here, but right in front of that, hooked to the same mechanism here, hopefully you can see this, is this little clip here. And this just goes in. We got to move this out of the way. You have to get up underneath there and pull it like that. And this sits in the door approximately like that. And it hooks onto that little clip right there I was telling you about. It hooks into the door. So that is where that goes. So I've got to unhook it, and I've got to do the same thing inside the door here. Now here's my lock actuator here, and I decided before I go through moving stuff around here, because it looks like this is hooked to the window guide here, but it does look like it's riveted in up top, so I'm not sure how much I'm going to be able to move this around, but it does look like I'm going to have to move this guide rail for the window out of the way, because I can't hook this up. Before I deal with all that, I went ahead and plugged this thing in, and I'm going to make sure, hopefully you can see this, that it is working. So now I can go ahead and get on with trying to figure out how to get this in. I did move the car, so I was in the shade. Unfortunately, that did put me in a little bit more of a windy place, so hopefully you can see and hear this. Back behind here, and this is a 12 millimeter. I've loosened it up, and that does let this wiggle around, this track, window track wiggle around quite a bit. So we're going to see if we can get this in here. That actually does allow it to loosen up. There's kind of a spot where it just slides up into up here. Let me reset. Up in here, this top of the guide rail for the window actually slides right out. Now there's some wires, I don't know if you can probably see it right here. There's some wires actually hooked to it, which is kind of keeping it from moving too much. But I am thinking that I should be able to move that over enough without manipulating anything else to be able to hopefully get this in here. Now, yet again, if you choose to do something I'm doing and you break something or can't get it back together, I'm not responsible. You you don't like the way I'm doing it, don't do it. But this appears to be the way to go. Gotta make sure that stays unlocked in the unlocked position there. It's really kind of a real pain in the butt to do this. No wonder this guy quit while he was trying to do it and then wound up breaking the thing. There we go. Alright, unfortunately the garbage truck came along right as I got it in there. But the hook, I had it faced this way, so it was up, kind of hooks this way. Brought it from the bottom and pulled it in. That seemed to be the way to do it. Now I'm having trouble trying to get it in the little bracket, which is hooked to right here. So I am just going to go ahead with my little pry bar tool here. I'm going to pry these wires off of the rail here and hopefully not break the little clip. Unfortunately, these clips that they put on these ones are kind of a one-time use, so you got to be real careful and try and get them in there best you can. But I really need this out of my way. So now the rail is just in there out of my way. Put it over here. And that gives me a lot more room to be able to kind of manipulate this clip here. Screwdriver and do a little bit of fang-dangling carefully. Don't break anything. I got it in the clip. Yet again, it's hooked on the other side of this here. Got everything hooked in where it needs to be. Got it all plugged in. And if you look up here, it is now working correctly. Let's see the remote here. Not a very... Oh, my seat just moved when I did that. Moves to the number 1 position automatically. This thing is so fully loaded, it's ridiculous. Alright, so yet again, now I just have to take and put the track back up in here, put the bolt end down here, and stick the wires in down here, and I believe we're fixed. Put the door panel on, you're back to being good. Yet again, opposite of what you did before. If you have any questions, please comment, rate, subscribe, thumbs up, thumbs down. I don't really care, whatever you want to do, I appreciate it all. This is Sam, Jack of all, Master of none. Y'all have a good one.